from everywhere. Usually we have people from worldwide, so it's good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, I think. So thank you. I think Martha was just having a chat with you. So this evening we're going to, what's this evening for us? We're just going to have a look briefly at Camino Ways, what we do, and then really go into kind of if it's your first Camino or if you have lots of questions about the Camino. We'll run through the presentation. If you could type your answers in, please, and or your questions, more to the point, and then we'll try and get to those questions as much as possible at the end of the presentation. We'll just give it a minute for a few more people to join, and then we'll start off.
Hello, I'm Tony. I'm just wondering if I'm on, if you can hear me.
We can, Tony, but there's a lot of people on, so if we could ask if everybody just put themselves on silent, please. That'd be great. We can run through the presentation, and as I said, if you just type in your questions anytime, we'll get to them at the end of the presentation as much as we can.
Whenever you are ready, Jeremy.
Yep. Cool. So we'll just pop over the agenda very quickly because we're going to go through it. So there's not much point in looking at it. But if you want to go on to the next page there, please. So very briefly, we are CaminoWays, CaminoWays.com. We're a specialist tour operator offering tours on the Camino de Santiago and the Via Francigena in Italy, which is the Camino to Rome. And with that, we offer walking and cycling tours and experiences on all the routes of the Camino and the Via Francigena. Within that, we offer accommodation in hotels. So all the accommodation we offer is hotel type accommodation, and standard country cottage or superior, which would be 4 and 5 star. But all the accommodation is hotels with private ensuite rooms. We can add services on like airport transfers, so pick them up from a local airport to bring you to your first hotel. And of course, we carry your luggage while you walk. So we pick up your bags and bring them to the next hotel while you walk with your day pack. We offer guided tours. They're on specific routes and specific dates. But what most people will book with us is self-guided. And obviously, we'll support you with all the information you need to do a self-guided tour, with the information of where you're going, where you're staying, what you're doing, how the luggage transfer works, and the maps as well. That's all online. And we also work with a lot of groups. So if you have a group, whether that's a group of friends, a family group, a company group, a walking club, a church, charity, many different types of groups. So generally groups are from 10 people. We can offer groups tailored service and extra things like guides. And the best thing to do with groups is talk to us, and we'll put together the best itinerary for you with that and everything that you need. And while you're doing all this and while you're on tour, we offer 24/7 assistance. So there's an assistance phone you can call or WhatsApp at any time. Just if you do have an issue with anything, you can call that, and hopefully we will be able to solve it. And we like to say we're quite good at solving any issues that may arise. Okay, Martha, thank you. So the Camino, this is a kind of a map of the Camino, where it is and where it comes from and where it's going to. It's probably a little bit hard to work out because there's a lot going on there. But we are going to talk about the best routes for first timers. But very briefly, the Camino goes to all goes to Santiago de Compostela. Sometimes I have people asking me, can we walk from, let's say, Porto to Lisbon? You can't, because the Camino goes one way, and that all roads lead to Santiago de Compostela, where the cathedral is, where reportedly St. James was buried. So that's St. James, the Apostle of Christ, who was sent to this area of Europe after Jesus was crucified to spread the word of God, Jesus, and the Bible. Well, it didn't exist then, but it did later. And eventually he was buried here, or so it is rumored. And then the cathedral was built up around it, and therefore the pilgrimage started to Santiago de Compostela. So the main route is kind of cutting across a little bit inland, but in northern Spain. Starts in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, just across on the French side of the Pyrenees. Crossing the Pyrenees in one day, and then you cut 730 odd kilometers all the way across to Santiago de Compostela. The Portuguese way from Lisbon up to Porto, but specifically from Porto to Santiago de Compostela is very popular. and that would be the second most popular route. And there's a number of variants on that route. You can either do the Central Way or the Coastal Way, and there's also a route called the Spiritual Way. So there's kind of three different variants you can walk on the Portuguese way from Porto mostly. From Lisbon, it's a bit challenging. It's really for the people who want to walk the full route. And then the Northern Way is probably the third most popular. That is cutting across the northern coast of Spain. So starting in San Sebastian, Bilbao, Santander, some really amazing cities that you can walk to and from, and then cutting across the whole of northern Spain and eventually cutting down into Santiago. We have the Camino Inglés coming from just straight north of Santiago, only 100 kilometers down into Santiago, and then a lot of people will walk from Santiago to the coast on the west to Finisterre. Finisterre meaning Land's End, very important historical area of Spain, and people will walk 90 odd kilometers out to there and possibly onto the fishing village called Muxi as well. The Via Francigena is in Italy, and essentially it's the Camino to Rome. And we do a short part of that route because it comes all the way from the UK across France, over the Alps into Italy and down into Rome. We do it from Tuscany, from a town called Lucca, to Siena, and then on Siena onto Vertibo, and Vertibo onto Rome. So it's a really stunning route. Obviously, the highlight is Tuscany and Rome itself. So they're all fantastic routes. They all work the same. As I said, we offer accommodation, luggage transfers, and some other extra services on all of these routes. And with us, you can pick and choose where you start and finish, the tour days that you want to travel, and other services that you may want to add. Okay, thank you, Martha. So focusing on the Camino Portuguese as a great starting point. As I said, there's three different variants of this. There's the coastal, the central, and the spiritual. Very briefly, Porto is a great staging point for this. It's 2 weeks walking into Santiago. Most people have a week, so they're probably going to start around the border. That's the Portuguese and Spanish border, which there, if you're doing the coastal route, you'll start in a town called Bayona or Vigo and walk 5 or 6 days into Santiago de Compostela. Probably about 3.5 of those days are coastal, and then you'll cut into Santiago de Compostela. Now, there is a spiritual variant which keeps you longer on the coast and brings you up to the estuary where you get a boat down the estuary back towards Padron. The reason it's called the spiritual because it's the legend would have it that St. James's body, well, first of all, St. James arrived down this estuary before, and this is where he started his journeys. Also, his body was sailed down this estuary and then carried to where he was finally buried in Santiago. So it is quite an historic route and a really fantastic way to experience the Camino, and a bit different as well because one of the days is a boat trip down the estuary, which takes a couple of hours. So it's pretty amazing. And then we have the very traditional and probably the second most popular route on the Camino is the Central Way, and that's from Tui on the Portuguese border, Portuguese and Spanish border, walking 5 or 6 days back into Santiago de Compostela as well. So they're all fantastic routes. If you're a beginner, you're probably looking at the last 100 kilometers as they're known. So that's either going on the coastal and the spiritual or the Central Way. But if somebody's looking for kind of a second experience, going up from Porto, and if you have a week walking from Porto up to the border is fantastic as well. It's different because you're going to get that Portuguese flavor. You're in a different country, and but again, it all works the same. But it's a really fantastic route, and Porto is great access with flights. It's not transatlantic hub, but definitely pretty much anywhere around Europe you get a flight to Porto. Also, Santiago de Compostela as well is a great place to access flights into. Thank you, Marta. So then we have the Camino Francés, which is really the most known, the most widely known, and the most popular. So that's coming, as we said earlier, from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, across the Pyrenees, and down along that inland part of Spain, which is kind of through the Rioja region, which is well known for wine. Then in the middle they have the Meseta, and then you continue on into Galicia for a couple of hundred kilometers into Santiago de Compostela. The Puy, which is mentioned there, this is quite a tough route, but it's a link route to the French way. It comes down through France from Chem de Puy all the way to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. It's a really stunning, fantastic route. Not as well populated or as well resourced as the Caminos, but definitely a route that anyone who's kind of been and done it and wants to experience something different and experience a route in France, this is definitely one to do. And the Norte, the Camino del Norte, starting in San Sebastian and then on to Bilbao and Santander. I mean, three iconic cities of Spain. Really, food, culture. The culture is a little bit different than that north coast of Spain, and incredible scenery on the coastline. So you're going to get that coastal experience as well. So they're all very good. Then we have kind of, I suppose, the short routes. The Camino Inglés, so the English way. And why is it called the English way? Because if you look directly north from that north coast of Spain, you'll find the coast of Ireland and the coast of England. And of course, Ireland was ruled by England in those days. So in those days, people used to get boats down to the north coast of Spain, down to a place called La Coruña or Ferrol, and walk just that short 100 kilometers down into Santiago. It's a great route. It's great, two great starting points in Ferrol and La Coruña, very popular destinations on their own. And then walking through the rural countryside, really fantastic scenery and great cultural experience down into Santiago. I explained about Cape Finisterre, which is finishing the Camino from Santiago out to Finisterre. And also you can walk another 2 days to a fishing village called Muxia. This is again very rural, really different and fantastic. And a lot of people who've walked the full routes will continue on to Finisterre. So there's a lot of emotion out there on the beach as well. Route of Vicentina is a little bit different. It's not part of the Camino, and it's the route we do, but it's going from south of Lisbon, and then it continues along the Portuguese coast to a place called Cape St. Vincent. And Cape is very famous. It's the most westerly point of Europe, landmass. Very famous for surfing. I don't know if anyone is a surfer or has surfed, but if you have come across any surfers, they'll definitely know about this area because it reputedly has the best waves in the world. But this is very much beach kind of dunes, walking through beaches and dunes and national park, kind of a wild coastal walk and amazing old places to stay in. So it's a fantastic route as well. And then, of course, the Via Francigena, which I mentioned. So all these routes you can walk and cycle as well. We offer with cycling, we offer trail bikes or e-bikes. You can e-bike as well, which is a fantastic way to get around. But definitely with e-bikes, I always say you should have a bit of experience e-biking before you go on any e-bike trip because they are a little bit different. And the first week of this walk is going from Lucca to Siena through Tuscany. Need I say more? I mean, Tuscany is utterly fantastic, top 10 destination in the world. People generally go here for kind of, I suppose, a quick coach tour or an in and out tour. I think walking through Tuscany gives you a completely different perspective and experience, and you become part of the locals, if you like, and you get to stay in some of the towns that they only let tourists in for the day. So it's a really stunning, fantastic experience. Again, different culture from Spain, but it works the same as the Camino. And then that continues on to Vertibo and then to Rome. I mean, walking into Rome, into the ancient city and into the Vatican is an experience in itself because Rome is iconic for many, many reasons, and definitely worth a couple of days extra if you are walking to Rome, to stay in Rome to see all the ancient sites. Really, really fantastic experience. And yeah, it's a very popular route, this, and becoming more so. So really, when we look at all these routes and everyone is like, where do I go? How do I get there? What do I do? And yeah, logistically is very challenging, and that's why we exist, and this is why we're here, and we've been doing this for 16 years. And we like to think we're experts. We're not experts in everything, but we do have a team of fantastic people who, when you first start planning, you can speak to myself or one of the team, one of three, and they'll help you plan your Camino. And it's really, a lot of people who come to us in the first instance will have already made a plan. They'd already will have decided what route they're doing, where they want to start, where they want to finish, and what days they want to do. And that does make things a lot easier because then we can put the itinerary very quickly together on our website, CaminoWays.com. And we have a fantastic planner on our website as well, which means you can also do that yourself and you get a quote pretty much instantly. So really, it's about this, having a look, doing a bit of research yourself. Which Camino do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Do I want to go to Spain, Portugal? Do I want to go to Italy even? Do I want to walk or cycle? And it's at that point we can step in and advise you as well. With with a lot of first-time people who come do the Camino, they'll probably want to stay in and around Santiago, which is the end. And walking the last 100 into Santiago de Compostela is definitely the most popular. And with that, most of the resources have built up around that area, which enables us to really give you a very varied level of accommodation. But also, more importantly, it gives us the opportunity to shorten the kilometers walked per day. So an average walking day in the Camino can be 20 kilometers. Some days are longer, some days are a bit shorter, but some days can be up to kind of 28 kilometers. And if you feel that's too much, we in routes like Sarria Santiago or Bayona de Santiago on the Portuguese way, we can shorten that down to 10, 15 with an average kilometers of 12. It does add days to your tour and takes you longer to get to where you're going, but it's definitely something we can do. And if you're looking for shorter kilometers, it's something you can consider. Of course, we'll advise you on the accommodation. All our accommodation is in hotels, as I said earlier, and comes with breakfast. The rooms we offer are single. That's one person in a room. They are very limited. And if you're looking for a single room, I always say get your booking in early. And then we have a twin room, which is two beds separated, or a double room, two beds together. The luggage transfer is all important, and that's why people love us. So while you always carry a small day pack, we'll pick up your main luggage and we'll bring it from hotel to hotel while you're walking. You never see this happen. We just ask you leave your bag in the lobby by a certain time. It's usually 8 in the morning. Doesn't mean you have to check out. You can still have your room and have your breakfast. But while you're doing all that, our secret people will come and pick it up and they'll bring it to the next hotel and hopefully be in the lobby of the next hotel when you get there. And that makes things a lot easier. We do have a weight limit on the luggage, which is 20 kgs. If you need to bring more than that, you need to split into two bags and there's an extra cost on that. We support you as well with our online tour portal, and on that we have all our route notes, your accommodation information, where you're staying. We have a map that you can download on your phone, and that live link you to the actual route as well, so you can actually follow yourself on the route, and that's fantastic. Hopefully, helps you from not getting lost. And then, as I said earlier, we offer you 24-hour support and guidance while you're planning. After you have planned and booked, we are still there to help you, and then during the trip and even after the trip as well. We have a lot of customers who do it, and then they come back and they want to do another section. And some of our customers have been with us for a very long time, experiencing all the routes that we offer. We have date if a lot of cities that people usually end up in Santiago de Compostela. It's definitely the most popular city to finish in. And if you do that, some people spend some extra time there, extra nights. We can add those on for you. And within that, I mean, Santiago itself is definitely worth a full extra day just to experience the city and to wind down from your walk. But there's plenty of day tours on offer as well. There's a day tour out to finish there. If you don't want to walk there, you can spend the day going out with other people and checking it all out on a tour. And we've many tours, city tours, cathedral tours, and we're introducing your tours this year as well. Like we have a wine tour in Rias Baxas, which is a fantastic wine of the area, and you can go see a vineyard and discover some of the cultural. Um, it's more cultural than wine, I would suggest, and food, but it's a really good tour. We always get asked about packing, and it is the ultimate question. And I always kind of get a little bit nervous talking about this because everybody's an individual and everybody has individual needs and requirements. But what we always say is pack light. Even if you're getting a luggage transfer because you only have 20 kgs, it's definitely be brutal on your packing. Uh, with the technical gear you have today, which can be kind of washed in a sink and dried that night in your hotel, you only need, I suppose, two sets of hiking gear at the very most. Probably two sets of evening gear because you're only putting on for a couple of hours in the evening, and then you're back in the morning. You're back in your hiking gear, and off you go. We do have extensive packing lists and advice on our website. On our website, you can go on and ask questions. It'll talk back to you from all the information we have within our website. And yes, that absolutely packing list, packing advice, advice on the gear, everything. I think what's very important is that in whatever country you're in, if you're in the US, you have REI sports and sportswear clothes, outdoor hiking. In the UK, you have Cotswolds Outdoors, and in Ireland, you have 53 Degrees North and Great Outdoors and other stores. These guys in those stores are fantastic at giving advice. You tell them what you're doing. You walk in and say, I'm planning a week in the Camino, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they will tell you what you need, what kind of gear you need. because it is got quite technical these days, but not. It's not. It's not. They're not. You're not going to be overpowered or overwhelmed with everything they're saying. It's just a good technical tops, fleeces, hiking trousers, with zips as well if it gets warm. Good light rain jacket, always important, and especially hiking shoes. So that's very important. I could go into that for hours and hours and hours. Use our website, go into your local store, have a chat with them.
Yes, just wanted to say, Jeremy, we also have an ebook on packing, so they can actually download it from the website in our information section hub. So it's available there if you want to download it.
Excellent drop there, Martha. Thank you very much. Yes, the ebooks are brilliant. You can just go onto our website, search the ebooks, and you can download those, and gives you more sense of information. So again, preparing for your walk. I mentioned earlier about the distances you need to walk per day, and most people will do kind of the average of 20 kilometers per day. And it's very important that you understand that the Camino is a challenge. You just don't go there and I'm able to walk this and then it really is that anyone can go out and walk 20 kilometers in one day. It's the challenge is getting up and doing it the next day and then the next day and then the next day. So you need to prepare for that. A lot of people these days we're a lot more active. Thankfully we're a fitter generation, I think, multi generations, and walking, hiking, running activities have all become a lot more popular, and that gives us the opportunity to do things like this. And it's a really fantastic, I think, change the ethos of people. But you need to prepare for this. And I've always said to people, it's a bit like training for a marathon or a 10K or whatever challenge you're doing. It's the same thing. Get out, get started training early, at least 6 months before. The, the biggest tip I can give is, find your limit, get to that point, and then increase it every day. So, or every time you go out and do something more. Add a bit of weight to your backpack that you probably don't need. So maybe carry 2 liters of water just so you're getting, it's more physical to do it. Um, Absolutely. If you walk a kilometer today, try and get out tomorrow, the next day, and then walk a kilometer and a half, and then build that to 2 kilometers, then 3 kilometers. Definitely try to do some multi-day consecutive hikes. So maybe over a weekend, do it on the Friday and the Saturday and Sunday, and see how that goes for you. Um, the terrain on the Camino is very forgiving. You're always kind of in the morning, you've got to leave a town, the evening, you've got to come into town. So you'll be on kind of a road. Then in between, you're going to be a mixture of trail and some rough ground, but not a lot, and kind of country track, even a bit of forestry. So it's forgiving, but it's always undulating. So it's always going up and down. No major hills in the main. There are 1 or 2 days which are further back, which most people won't experience unless you're doing the full route. But in the main, it's just undulating. So you need to stick hills into your training as well, just so you get used to it. And yeah, endurance is everything. If walking poles is important, they give you 30% extra help with your upper body, especially if you're carrying anything heavy, or if you're carrying a lot in your day pack, or you're carrying all your pack. Walking poles are great, but train with them before you go, because your style of walking will change with walking poles. And when you change your style of walking, that changes the physicality of it, and you'll get very stiff and sore if you do it when you do it for the first time. You don't want that on the Camino. So huge preparation, absolute advantage. You will still be, no matter how much prep you do, you will still be tired. It'll still be a challenge, but it'll be easier if you're more prepared. And here we have a fitness band, which I believe you can also download from the website. Is that right, Martha?
Yeah, we have a blog post about it, It's not exactly this slide, but it's very similar. It's the same information.
Yes, very good. It is a good slide as well, and it shows that month one you 25 to 30 minutes, month two 40 to 60, 3 times a week. It's not rocket science. It's just building up on your activity. We will be posting this webinar afterwards. It'll go up, Martha will post it up in a couple of days, if not sooner, and you can have a look at it and at your own leisure. But it's definitely, as you can see here, it's about building gradually over time, including your hills and varied terrain. Train in your gear. So wear the gear you're going to wear. And if you start early, you're going to work out very quickly if that typical gear is not working, so you can get it changed. Um, Always walk within your own pace. I think that's very important. People walk with groups or walk with friends. I think if you hiked with a group, you'll see very quickly that the group spreads out, or a group should spread out. So, because if you walk outside your pace and try to keep up or go faster or even go slower than what you normally do, that will create problems for you down the line, and you will get physically tired. Everybody has a pace they walk, and it's always different. So don't worry about people getting too far ahead of you. You're all going to the same place, and you will all get there. So don't panic. Walk at your own pace. I think that's very important. If you're doing when you're prepping as well, don't overdo it. If you feel you need a day's rest, you will do need a day's rest. So take that day's rest, because you'll feel much better when you go out and the next day or the day after to do whatever exercise you need to do. Same when you're walking the Camino with us, you can book extra days. Kind of if you're doing more than 1 week, some people will book kind of after 4 or 5 days, they might book an extra day just to chill and rest to recuperate, and then they'll kick on again. But yeah, all of these are very important. If you have any kind of medical issues, or if you're worried about something, or if, like me, if your knee is starting to go at the moment, which is very frustrating, go and have a chat with your doctor just to make sure everything's okay and you're good to go. All right, Martha, thank you. Best time of year to walk? It's another endless question, but absolutely the best time of the year is spring, April to June, autumn, September to October for sure. September is one of the busiest times of the year, of the month, of one of the busiest months in the Camino. But people hear about it being busy and lots of people on it. It's not really true, especially if you book through us, because everything is arranged. You have your hotels. What people say it's really busy is because they're staying in hostels. You cannot pre-book hostels, so everybody races to the next town to try and get a bed in a hostel. As I said, if you book through us, you don't have that issue, and the trail itself is never that busy. Yes, it gets more populated the closer you get to Santiago, specifically on the last 2 days, but that's part of the atmosphere and part of the fun and part of the ethos of the Camino as well. And at that point you'll understand. But it's really good. With spring and autumn, you get kind of fairly stable, mild temperatures in around 25. It's always going to be warm, spring and autumn, and but with these days, with the weather the way it is, you can expect, we can't obviously cage for weather spikes or events, so you should expect rain or sometimes even hot heat. Um, yeah, and then winter is an interesting time to go. It's still open, and most routes are closed, but in around Santiago is still open. So if you're not if you're open to any kind of weather, winter not a bad not a bad time to go at all. But I have been on the Camino in kind of November, and it's just constantly rained, and wasn't great. But then again, you could hit a great week as well, so you never know. Day to day, we talked a little bit about this. So average, as I said, kind of 20 kilometers per day is what you're doing. The you, you- Every day works the same. So when you're starting off, you'll get to your hotel, you overnight. I always say to people, prepare yourself. Put all the things you need in your day pack in your day pack. Lay out your walking clothes for the next day, and have your bag that you're going to get transferred ready to get transferred. Obviously, you're going to need to do a bit of repacking in the morning, but on the first evening, you're probably going to be anxious, worried, nervous. Uh, there's nothing I can say that will stop that, because it's human nature. And but the more you're prepared in the morning, the less panic you're going to be. Get up in the morning, get into your hiking clothes, pack up your main bag, make sure your day bag is ready. Go down to the lobby, leave your main bag in the lobby for transfer. Go and have your breakfast, relax, eat, go back up to your room, bit of a refresh, onto the day pack, off you go. 20-kilometer walk. As I explained, the kind of the paths and the types of terrain you're going to be walking over. Don't don't worry about the day itself. You will get to your destination. You have your map, you have a phone number, you have the address of the hotel. These can all be put into your mapping, so you will get there. Take your time, don't worry. There's lots of little lovely restaurants and cafes en route where you can stop and eat and dine, and then meet other and fellow walkers as well. The route is very well marked with arrows. There's these yellow arrows and trail markers along the route. But I always say, if you feel you lost, you probably are. Stop, turn around, and go back to the point where you were not, or you would know you weren't, and then continue on. And then It's repeat, 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 and it's generally that. You do get into an incredibly good routine when you're walking the Camino. It's very natural, and yeah, and it's there to be enjoyed as well.
Perfect. So we are done now. It's time for the
Oh,
questions.
sorry, I forgot that was the last one. Yes, so
Yeah,
hopefully you've
no,
all
that's
been
fine.
popping in the questions. I know there's a huge amount of people with us this evening, so we'll do about 5-10 minutes of questions. We'll get through as much as we can. If we don't get to your question, apologies. Just send us an email to info@CaminoWays.com with the question, and we'll get back to it kind of in the next couple of days. So hit
Yes,
us with questions, Martha.
Sorry, just before we go into the questions, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now, and I'm gonna drop the presentation actually on the chat, so everyone have it for this afternoon, this evening, so you have it ready, and I don't need to email everyone separate. If you have any problem, I drop you my email as well, and I can send it to you privately. So yeah, 1 second, and we start with the questions. Okay. Do you offer assistance with the booking day trips and tours in Santiago, Pamplona, Logroño, and Burgos?
We do. Generally, it's only in Santiago de Compostela, though, not in the other smaller towns. There's not many day tours in the towns and cities along the route. Um, but your hotel is a great source for that because they'll always be promoting and have information on what day tours are available, and they can be booked on the evening. In Santiago de Compostela, we've a number of day tours, cathedral tours, food tours, tapas tours. As I said, we have the wine tour, we have the Finisterre day tour. They can all be booked within your package if you're staying in Santiago de Compostela.
Thank you. And do all the routes meet the 100 kilometers, also the Camino Inglés?
The Camino Inglés, yes, it does from Ferrol. It's 100 kilometers. So, yes, you'll get your certificate. On the French way is Sarriette Santiago. On the Portuguese way, you can either start coastway in Vigo or Bayona. Bayona is a bit further, it's about 109 or 10. Vigo is just under 100 kilometers, and people always ask, do I get my certificate? It's around 94. And yes, you do. You absolutely do get your certificate if you start in Vigo. Yes, so yes, it works. Generally, you have to walk 100 kilometers into Santiago or any other part of the Camino, or cycle 200.
Thank you. Can 3 people share a room?
Yeah, we have a limited number of triple rooms. So yes, so if you have a group of 3, you want a triple room, just again send in the request, or you can build the itinerary yourself. Oh no, you can't with a triple. Yeah, send us in the request to info@CaminoWays.com, and we'll put the itinerary for you together with a triple room.
Thank you. Do you need trail shoes or also walking shoes or just one? Do we need walking sticks? Are there restrooms along the way?
Yeah. So there's 2 types of hiking shoes or boots. So you have actual hiking boots, which are made for rough terrain, mountaineering. If you ever pick up a pair of those, you'll see that they have a very stiff sole, and they're a high level of support for your foot and ankle. They are not good for the Camino because of the stiff sole. You will kill your feet walking in those on the Camino because it's pretty much flat surface. What you need is a kind of a trail shoe or an approach shoe, or low ankle boot that has a very flexible sole. So, there's many in there. And as I said, go to your local outdoor store, tell them you're doing the Camino. They should know what to give you. But I always pick up the shoe, and if I can bend it very easily, that'll do for the Camino, and waterproof. Hiking poles I mentioned earlier, they're very good because they take 30% off your upper body, take 30% of the effort. And but there is a way of walking with them. It does change your type of walking. So use them before, train with them before you go, and then you can use your walking poles.
Thank you. What type of bags do you recommend, hard shelf or soft duffel?
For the main luggage, you can use any bag. It's not a portary service where the guys have to carry the bags up a mountain. I know a lot of treks ask you to bring soft bags because of that. With us, they just have to pick it up from the lobby, put it in the van, and then drive it to the next hotel, take it out of the van, and put it in the lobby. So therefore, you can pretty much bring any type of bag. We don't have any stipulations on that.
Okay. What size day pack is recommended for your day to
Sorry,
day?
say that again.
Yeah. What's the size for the day pack recommended for your small bag? Carrying?
I say 10 to 20 liters backpack. You shouldn't need any more than that. What you're putting in there is just maybe an extra fleece, water, obviously, few snacks and anything personally that you may need on the day. So it shouldn't be a lot. 10 litre up to 20 litre. That's definitely 20 litre, definitely enough. 10 to 15 litres, plenty.
Perfect. What is the standard hotel room bed arrangements? Queen, double, two twins from Sarria to Santiago.
Yeah, so in Europe, hotels are quite standard, and the hotels on the Camino are definitely very standard because you're always going from a big town or city to a very small town, maybe in a village, maybe even a hamlet. So the hotels will vary in type. The rooms are generally normal size with kind of normal size double beds or twin beds. So you can have a twin that can be put together or pulled apart. So ziplockers are called, and then a double bed which are together. Triple rooms can be quite small. I know somebody's asking about that, but when you get to the cities, they're a bit bigger and a bit better. So it does vary, but they're perfect for walking the Camino.
Thank you. What is meant as hiking gear?
Sorry,
What is meant as hiking gear?
what
As
is
the group?
meant by hiking gear?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suppose the clothes you wear, the equipment you use, like the poles, the backpack, the footwear, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. Do you provide physical printed maps, routes in addition to the online version?
No, we don't. We've become paperless for a long time. We haven't printed anything in about 3, 4 years. So unfortunately, we don't. We do provide it online in our tour portal. No problem to buy a guidebook. You can buy the Cicerone guidebook. It's very good. There's a discount code on our website. Just Google Cicerone search Cicerone on our Camino Ways website, and you'll find the discount. I always say to people, it's great to buy a guidebook, but you'll probably read it before and maybe afterwards, but you're definitely not reading it during, because if you're picking up a book with a map and if it's standing in the middle of a route, you're lost. So unless you're a very experienced map reader, it's very difficult to read a map when you're hiking a trail.
Okay, thank you. Do you provide bottled water? If so, how many?
No, we do not. It's a self-guided hiking trip, so you must support yourself. The water in Spain and all areas of the trips, from Italy, everywhere, Portugal, it's all drinkable out of the taps, out of the hotels. So bring a good water bottle that you use maybe at home, and you can fill that up. And there's many places en route that you can refill, even fountains. The water is incredible because it's coming off the mountains, and yeah, it's very good. You can also buy bottled water in many shops along the route.
Thank you. If you want to take the day for rest, how does the logistic work with staying at the hotel?
Yeah, so literally you need to plan it before. So before you book, when you're booking with us, you say, can I add in a rest day? Usually it's halfway, or depending on how many weeks you're doing, and it's just picking a location. We generally pick one of I suppose, the highlight locations, which is a bigger town or city, and you just book an extra night. You just stay, the hotel is there for an extra night, and you just relax that day, experience the town, the city, maybe do a day tour, and the next day you just start your walk as normal.
What if you're feeling too tired that morning or you are not feeling great?
Well, unfortunately, you have to follow our itinerary to get to the next hotel. So what we say is, if you can get public transport or a local taxi to take you over that route, yes, you do miss that walking day. But obviously, if you've booked a week with us, that's 7 hotels. If on the third day, things are working out, we can't move the days. It's not possible. If you're walking self-supported, absolutely, then you're fine because you're doing your own bookings. But unfortunately, with us, you have to follow the itinerary.
Is Camino safe for solo female travelers?
Yeah, obviously, that's a great question. We get this a lot. Again, as I said at the start, we've been doing this for 16 years. We have a lot of solo female hikers. Um, no country or place or world or anywhere is 100% safe. But I do have to say that, I'm proud to say that the Camino is incredibly safe. That's not to say there hasn't been instances on it. There has, but they're very, very few and far between. You should always be aware of where you are, what you're doing, and what is going on around you, more to the point. Um, we've had thousands upon thousands of people walk the Camino with us, and we've never had a report of any incident that's happened to them in that form. So I would say for a solo female hiker, it's a fantastic destination. But you always, as I said, you always need to be aware of what is going on around you. The other thing is the camaraderie of the other hikers of the Camino. I mentioned there's lots of little cafes and bars along along the route that you can stop and replenish and have your lunch in. It's inevitable you will meet people. People will naturally start walking with you, and you'll converse with them, get to know them. And so you're never truly alone when you're on the Camino, unless you're doing a very rural or unknown route. Um, but so there is safety in numbers in that level as well. But as I said, you should always be aware of what is going on around you and who is around you. But I would suggest that it's an incredibly safe place for a solo female hiker. Yeah.
What about cash or credit card during the Camino? What is recommended?
So everywhere will take credit cards, Visa, MasterCard mostly. But again, it's always good to have cash. I say 40 euros somewhere on your person at any given time is a good amount to have. You probably won't use it, but as I said, everywhere takes credit cards.
Okay, thank you so much. What is the average time actually walking every day?
Totally depends on you. I mentioned earlier that everybody has their own pace of walking, and if you're a 3 mile an hour walker or a 5 mile an hour walker, that can create a huge difference from when you start and finish. At 20 kilometers a day, you should probably be doing 2.5 to 3 hours in the morning, have a nice long lunch break of an hour, do 2.5 to 3 hours in the afternoon. So that's essentially 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours. Now, some days can take up to 8. I've had days of 9 to 12 hours for different reasons. But you should, with walking, you should take a break once an hour for 15 minutes and then take a nice long lunch break for an hour. You will always get there. There's no need to rush the Camino. There's plenty of places to stop, spend time in, look, talk, meet, eat. So take your time.
Thank you. I need a gluten-free diet. Can I bring extra food?
Yeah, absolutely. And gluten free is challenging, especially in Europe, because there's a lot of gluten. But it's good gluten. It's all the food is very fresh, clean, and natural, especially on the Camino. But if you have a dietary issue, you have to follow that. I definitely bring extra food if you want. You can have it if you're booking with us and have luggage transfer. You can keep that in your day pack, specifically for breakfast and things like that. If you have extras that you can bring, that's good. There, there's great restaurants and there's a lot of variety on the Camino as well, so that you'll always find somewhere to eat.
Thank you. Do all the hotels you book will stamp the Camino pass?
Yes, everywhere does the Camino passport. The butcher will do it, the postman will do it, the hotels will do it. Everybody does it. Even some of the farmers will have a little stamp at their gate. Churches you go into, they all have stamps. Fine stamps everywhere. In fact, you can overstamp your book very quickly, which I have done as well. But it becomes a bit of an obsession.
Thank you. When should I arrive? Where should I arrive if I plan to start in Saint-Jean-de-Pont? I plan flying into Paris and taking the train on the following day. So sorry, when? No, where?
Oh
When?
yeah, when should I arrive in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port? It's a bit of an open-ended question, but if you arrive in Paris, you can take the TGV, which is the fast train straight down to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. It takes a couple of hours. Um, if you're arriving in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port overnight, you can start the next day, not a problem. Some people like to have an extra day in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. It is in France, it's a little bit different. It's in the Pyrenees, it's very stunning. There's a great atmosphere there because there's a lot of people there who are about to start their full 700-kilometer walk. So it's a really fascinating place to be. So no problem. Or I always say overnight before you start your walk for sure. So get to where you're going overnight, start your walk the next day. If you're booking with us, you have to do that anyway. But yeah, definitely have one night in Saint Jean before you start.
Perfect. Let's gonna do a couple of questions more, Jeremy, before we wrap up. Can you receive a separate certificate for the Santiago to Finisterre route? If so, how does it work?
Yeah, you walk from Santiago to Finisterre, and there's an office that you can get you present it and you get your certificate.
Perfect, thank you. There's plenty of questions about the bathroom availability during the Camino, so if you want to answer that, please.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we get asked that a huge amount, but unfortunately, there are no. This is where you're walking through a country, through a rural country. You're walking through fields, farms, villages, and towns, and it's the villages and towns really is where you get the restaurants and bathrooms. So the people of the Camino, the locals, have no problem with you going into the restaurant or bar and asking them can they use the restroom. Nice to buy some water or something, or a beer, or a glass of wine, or a sandwich, but yeah, that they are the places. I suppose the unsightly things in the Camino is behind the hedges. There's a lot of tissue paper and things that's been left behind. Please don't do that, or you can burn it. bring a lighter, burn any tissue paper you use. If you do use a field as your restroom, sometimes you have to. Yeah, if you've ever done some trekking in remote areas, you'll understand that you burn your tissue paper when you're finished. It's the same on the Camino, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't. But yes, there's about on the popular routes, about every couple of kilometers, there's always a few little cafes that you can stop into.
Thank you. Another question. Sorry, water. What type of first aid kit we should pack?
Um, again, depending on what your requirements are, there's a lot of prep you can do, and things you can. What I always have is probably the best thing. I always have some blister plasters just in case. I also always have some Vaseline, in case my skin starts to get abrasive. That could happen on your arms or between your legs, so it's good to put Vaseline on. Um, uh, Sun cream, lip balm, that kind of stuff is what I say. Other than that, what you personally might require is what you should have in your medical kit.
Thank you. Are there washing machines available during the routes?
Well, you spend very little time in the hotels because if you're checking in maybe 4 to 6, depending on your day, you've got to get up and go by 8. So, and as I said, a lot of the hotels are very rural areas, so they will have limited laundry services. It's always good to ask if you need something cleaned. Ask when you check in. Explain that you're leaving at 8 and you need it back by 8. Or they'll direct you to a laundrette as well, so you can go and do it yourself. But generally, with this high tech hiking gear, you don't really need to wash it because it's very sustainable for multi-day hiking. And again, it's very quick drying, so you can just wash it in the sink in your own hotel and just hang it up and it'll be dry by the next day.
Perfect. And last question, what is a good route for solo beginner female?
So we mentioned finishing in Santiago de Compostela. If you're walking for a week, definitely the Portuguese coastal way or Sarria de Santiago on the French way.
Thank you. So we don't have time for more questions. As Jeremy said, please email us at info@CaminoWays.com and our team will try to answer. Thank you so much for all the questions. It was very interactive session today. And just a couple of things before we finish. The recording will be available tomorrow. And I have shared the slides here on the chat so everyone can download it right now. So I think that's all. Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Yes. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to talk to you and meet you, and not quite have a conversation with you, but at least you're able to listen to us. There was one quick question there about when's our next webinar. We do it on a monthly basis, so it's usually the day after we send out our newsletter, which is the mid Thursday of every month. That date can differ a little bit, but we publish it highly on our socials and newsletter as well. Martha's very good at that, and we always pick the subject matter kind of just before, so we don't know what we're talking about next month yet. But thank you all very much. It is a pleasure, and wish you all a buen camino.
Thank you, everyone.